Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a very interesting show for you today. Yep, Finebaum has started ripping Deion Sanders over an issue with a reporter. And also, Connor Stallions blew it. We're going to talk about that, too. And also got some interesting news for the VOLS fans out there. We're going to talk about their AD and also baseball coach. But anyway, let's get into Deion Sanders and Paul Finebaum and find out what's going on with this big rift between them. And it's getting pretty ugly. All right, now last week, Deion Sanders and the Colorado football program has pretty much banned Sean Keeler, who works for the Denver Post. He's a reporter there. And they've said he's made a lot of negative comments about Coach Sanders and the program, and I'll show you that. It says the university announced the team would not be taking questions from Keeler during press conferences, citing personal attacks against Sanders in previous reporting. And the reporter said it's fear all around, and it's fear of people who are on the academic side and know better. He said, I think, and I wrote this 10 days ago or whatever. He said, Sanders and I had a testy exchange at a fall media day. Then Deion is starting to lash out at people, which strikes me as a sign of fear that something good may not be coming on the football side. He said, but I think if I were Buffalo fans, and this is the part that everyone's kind of suppressing here locally, fear is the four-letter word I keep coming back to, and it's everywhere. I think players are afraid. I think coaches are afraid because they saw what happened to the first-year staff. He said, I think the media is afraid, and I think the administrators are afraid. And if they win, it'll all be justified. If they don't, grab your popcorn. So, yeah, this guy and Deion, they don't see eye to eye. I think this is a guy that, you know, this is his reporting style, is to be kind of aggressive. And I'll show you what Colorado felt about it. It talks about they're banning a reporter from the Denver Post. He said the athletic department gave a statement to ESPN explaining the decision, saying that reporter Sean Keeler had issued personal attacks on Coach Prime. They said after a series of sustained attacks on the football program and specifically Coach Prime, the athletic department, in conjunction with the football program, have decided not to take questions from Sean Keeler at football-related events. He is still permitted to attend football-related activities as a credentialed member of the media. He said, according to the paper side, the offensive language and personal attacks directed at Sanders, including deposition Deion, the Bruce Lee of BS, calling him a false prophet, and using phrases like Planet Prime or drinking the Deion Kool-Aid, and saying the program resembled a circus. So he has been pretty rough on Colorado and obviously Deion Sanders. But let's take a look at the response by Paul Finebaum on this. He didn't appreciate him banning a reporter for asking obviously very tough questions.
He is not ready for prime time, Greeny. I find this whole thing to be disgraceful. Deion may want to talk about love and joy.
He also called Deion a bully and a hypocrite. So obviously Paul Finebaum didn't appreciate him banning a reporter. Now obviously Deion responded to this. He didn't appreciate being talked to about that. He handled it pretty good. Let's listen to his response.
So when you hear guys like Paul Finebaum calling your program irrelevant, you know,
but he talking about us. How can we be irrelevant and you talking about me?
Yeah.
Like every time I turn around, somebody's sending me a quote that you talking about. So
he's a fan.
How? well, the thing about a fan, you got to understand, a fan only blows when you're hot.
Ooh. Yeah. So Deion seems to be taking it somewhat in stride, not getting too upset about it. But if Finebaum continues on that path, it'll get a little different than that. Now let's hear what else Deion had to say.
I'm going to go away with
Come on, man. I'm writing these down, man.
Yeah. A fan only blows when you're hot. So we must be hot.
I love that.
Right.
I love that.
So I know what he's doing, and I'm proud of him, that he's smart enough to understand that this generation and this thought process and the way we communicate on sports is different.
Yes.
And he's a dying breed. So what does he have to do to stay and keep up with this change? Oh, I got to go find that big bad wolf and talk about it.
Yeah.
So now I keep my relevancy. And I'm saying, cool, but I'm not going to help you. I'm not going to add to you. I'm not going to respond because that's what you want. Yeah, you just want me to respond. I don't do that. I'm not going to help you come up.
So he pretty much, you know, as you can see, told him he's a dying breed. And, of course, Paul responded to that.
Ollie, it didn't mean very much to me because it was a fairly irrelevant reaction. He did say something that I agree with. He called me a dying breed in the profession, which I'm proud of because I really do believe that the media should be treated with respect and not have selective persecution like he is using out there, not only with this reporter from Denver, but other reporters as well.
So as you can see, this is getting pretty interesting, going back and forth. Obviously, it has a lot to do with the reporter. Now, the reporter came on Paul Finebaum's show, and he actually talked about the situation with himself, Colorado football, and, of course, Deion Sanders.
Yeah, I have offered to talk to Deion and his representatives privately on multiple occasions, and specifically very recently since this went down. I've not received a response. I can keep asking, and I think I know what the answer is, but I'm always willing to sit down and talk about that. And frankly, if the results on the field are different than what we saw last year, Paul, I promise you, I will be the first person to write and to say, hey, man, hey, Coach Prime, I was wrong.
All right, so sounds like the reporter wants to try to work things out, but I don't think he's going to change his approach, and he has been pretty rough on Deion. Honestly, that's one of those, I'm not a big believer in banning a reporter. I think you got to have a little bit thicker skin than that, or Deion needs to, but he has a legitimate argument that a lot of things he said were pretty rough. You know, that's just one of the things about being a head coach is you're going to take a lot of crap, but I will also tell you this. Most of the reporters, whether they're covering Tennessee or whoever, you're not going to get away with asking super tough or kind of mean-spirited questions. They're going to kind of push you away. You're not going to be invited to the cool kids table for lunch if you do a whole lot of that. So I can kind of see both sides of this. I'm almost never in favor of banning a reporter. That's just, it takes a lot. But I also think if you're going to go after somebody and write a lot of negative pieces, don't expect to be getting a whole lot of respect when you show up. So anyway, I thought that was pretty interesting to see those two going at it. And it sounds like Deion's not really wanting to mix it up too much with Finebaum. He did, call him a dying breed and all that, which is kind of a blow. But it wasn't too brutal. So I thought Paul was a little bit rougher on Deion than Deion was on Paul for sure. But that's okay. Look, this is, it's the talking season. The game starts tonight. Colorado's playing North Dakota State. Should be a good ball game. This is an FCS team they're playing, so Colorado is favored to win by about 70%. But this is not some easy FCS team. They're very good. So this should be a very interesting game. It's at 8 o'clock tonight. So anyway, wanted to cover that. Now I want to cover Connor Stallions. I've had a couple of days to think about his Netflix special docu-series or whatever you want to call it. And after really thinking about it quite a bit, I feel like he really blew it. And I'll tell you why. It's not even about the cheating and all that.
In my opinion,
they cheated with stealing the signs. And you're allowed to have your own opinion on that, but I think it's pretty obvious. But here's what I can't stand. It just burns me up. I can't stand to be gaslit. And what he did in that special, holding up a picture of himself on the Central Michigan sideline and says, oh, that doesn't even look like me. And then when the NCAA asked him if he was on the Central Michigan sideline, he said, oh, I don't remember. You don't remember being on the Central Michigan sideline wearing their outfit, their hat, their shirt, all of those things, and having to get somebody to get you on that side. You can't remember that, but you remembered 3,000 signals and signs and had them memorized of everybody's play in the Big Ten.
you serious?
That's ridiculous. That's absurd. And I think he should have just admitted, look, you're going to get hammered for that anyway by the NCAA. They're going to give you a multi-year show cause and all that crap. It's going to happen. And it's not like this is, you're not going to jail over this. This is not a legal issue. This is the NCAA. So if you're going to get hit with it anyway, why not just admit what you know is true and that everybody else knows is true? And that way you have some shred of credibility. Because here's the thing. I try to think about this two ways. Obviously, as somebody that likes sports, I hate the cheating. Hate it. But as a human being, I have some empathy for him that he lost his thing that he loved the most, which is, working for Michigan and all that. I mean, he's never going to be able to work for Michigan again. And it's heartbreaking for him. He did it to himself. Don't get it twisted. But I do have empathy for him as a human being, that he's gone through a lot. He's been ridiculed and embarrassed and all of that, and had to kind of lay low. He had to sneak into ball games just to be able to watch his favorite team wearing a face mask and a toboggan. So I do have some empathy there. But when you sit there and blatantly BS me and try to gaslight me, you're going to lose me every time. So I think that's where he blew it with the public. And he come in there and said, yeah, I did this. I got caught up in the desire to win. I love my team so much. I pushed the envelope too far. I see that, and I feel bad about it. And yes, I was on the Central Michigan sideline. I shouldn't have done that. And I let the competition overwhelm me. I could have empathy for that person. He's still going to get his show cause and all that. And Michigan's still going to get hit either way. But at least you could say, hey, there is some contrition there that he crossed the line. And he clearly did, in my opinion.
Allegedly.
So I thought, as a person, he blew an opportunity to have some favor from the public, which I think any human being deserves, honestly. I do feel bad for him in a weird way, but that special did him no favors. That's just my opinion. You may disagree. Anyway, last thing, I want to talk to my Vols a little bit. We've got some really good news today. I think it's great news. It's not going to come across as big, but it is. It's huge. And that's Danny White, our athletic director, who has done a fantastic job. Anybody that doesn't think he's killed it knows nothing about sports. He signed a contract that keeps him here through 2030, $2.75 million a year. He's the highest paid athletic director in the country, and it's deserved. He brought in Josh Heupel, who's been a fantastic hire. We were in a dumpster fire. We weren't as bad as where Colorado was when Deion came in, but we were bad off, big time. And he brought us a winning season right away, won 7 games, almost won 9, and made us a super exciting team to watch. And then he won 11 games, and then he won 9 games the next year. And we look great this year with Nico at the helm and the best defensive player in the country in James Pierce. And as far as basketball is concerned, Elite 8 this last year. It's the best we've ever done in basketball. And we won the SEC in both baseball and basketball, that's fantastic. The SEC is tough in all of those sports. And then also he got Tony Vitello assigned a 5-year extension, makes him the highest paid baseball manager in the country in college at $3 million a year through 2029. And he earned his raise, just like Danny White did. Took us to the College World Series 3 out of 4 years. The 1 year he didn't was 2022 when we were the #1 team in the country. The best baseball team I've ever seen was that loaded bench. And they got beat in the Super Regionals by Notre Dame, which was just shocking. But that's baseball. Baseball's super fickle. But he did win the national title last year, and he was ranked #1. And he's had Tennessee as the winningest program in the last 4 years at a, 7-7-3. 77% of the time they win ball games. And that's in baseball, which is tough. So great news for the Vols to get Danny White, who is, my opinion, the straw that stirs the drink, and then go ahead and get Tony Vitello locked in long term. I know Texas was trying to nab him, but they wound up stealing Texas A&M's coach, which was a whole fiasco during the College World Series. And tried to derail that team intentionally, in my opinion. And Texas A&M fans know I'm right about that. Del Conte, or whatever his name is. And he's the second highest paid athletic director, by the way. So anyway, did want to cover all this. Deion, let's see how he does. I'm kind of rooting for Deion, honestly. I know some of you aren't, and that's okay. I'd like to see him be successful there because I think he's been great for the Colorado program when it comes to getting a lot of attention, selling a ton of tickets, getting money flowing into that place. And they've stunk up the joint for a long time. 1-11 is what he took over. So I'm kind of rooting for him. I would like to see him tone down being so dadgum thin-skinned, because these reporters are going to write what they're going to write. You might just learn to take it a little bit better. But anyway, we'll see how that plays out. Maybe if I was in his shoes, I wouldn't appreciate people talking crap about me. But they do all the time. I get it in the comments section, so I don't know. Anyway, if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Lets me know to continue to cover all these big college sports stories. If you've not subscribed, boom, 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 hit that little button. I'd appreciate it. It won't cost you a dime, and it'll help you get my videos so you can keep up with all this stuff if you like this info. And right over here is the most recent video that YouTube thinks you'll enjoy based on your viewing history. And we will see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.